Shalom, my little Zehoovians. How are you guys going? Are you keeping warm on these chilly, chilly days? And are you getting excited about going back to school? Some of you, I think, will get to start this coming week, and some of you have to wait still until the 9th of June, but getting closer, we're getting closer, it's going to be awesome. Well, we have a Chag coming up very soon on, I think it's the 28th of May, which is only about a week away, and it's a Chag that I love a lot. It's called Shavuot. Now, I love it in particular because it's close to my birthday and there's a particular food that we eat. Does anyone remember? We've made a few variations of them. Cheesecake. But we're not going to make cheesecake today. We've done a few cooking videos. We're going to do something else. It's also, the Chag of Shavuot is also about getting a gift, a special gift. It's not just about cheesecake. That's an important part, but we'll put that to the side. The Jews got a special gift. Do you remember what it was? It was the Torah and the 10 Commandments. Now, we've done things with the 10 Commandments and we've done things with the Torah before. If we were at shul, I would take you in. We would have a look at the Torah in the Aron HaKodesh. We would have a look at it. It'd be a beautiful experience. Instead, we're going to make our own. Now, we've done variations on this before. Some of you may have done them before. Some may have not. And I've got a couple of different options for you, though, to make it a bit different and interesting. Do you remember when I was showing you the Besamim boxes? I got quite excited with the cinnamon because I said the cinnamon. Now, can you see that? See how it looks like two scrolls? Of my container, most of them, both ends have the two scrolls like the Torah. So I thought for one option, if you have cinnamon at home, you could take cinnamon and do you remember the cloves? Yeah, the cloves, little cloves? Very, very aromatic together. I thought if you wanted to, you could call this your Torah. And then this could go on the top. You can press it into the hole, see? No, my fingers are in the way there. Oh, not very even, not very even. I had a bit of a play before, so you might have to have a play which end you use, which cinnamon stick, and you can get the cloves in, and they look like the handles. And if you can get nice fits, you can make your own Torah scroll like this, yeah? And I'll show you how we're going to decorate it. Another option, if you don't have cinnamon and cloves readily available, perhaps you have got some paddle pop sticks. I know we've got tons of them always around the house. If you don't have paddle pop sticks, you could do this with chopsticks. If your parents are okay with you taking chopsticks, they might have to help you break them and then make sure you don't get any splinters because that would be unfortunate. So we've got a couple of options with this. One is if you have a nice long piece of paper. Now this is from the inside of a project book. I think they're called the poster book, whatever they're called. So if you look at your paddle pop stick or your chopstick, you want to have the paper running with a little bit of an end at each end because you want to be able to hold your Torah. So we make it around about this wide. And you just have to cut a nice long strip. And if it's a bit wonky, it doesn't matter. If it's not fully straight, I'll show you. Mine, not very straight. This end is clearly quite wider than this end. Doesn't matter. So I thought I would use a piece of this. Or, if you wanted, now, the Torah is made out of what? Paper? No. I remember someone, I won't use names, but someone had a great name for it. She said it's made out of cow paper. And in a way, she's right. Because it's made out of skin, isn't it? That's been treated very carefully. So I'm using, not that, but I'm using some brown paper, something that was packaged and sent to us because we're getting everything through the mail at the moment. So maybe that is a bit more authentic looking to you than actual paper. Now, you take your paddle pop stick, very, very technical this bit. We're going to sticky tape it on to one end, right around, so that it hangs on. And we're going to do the same on the other end. Sticky tape it on. There we go. And then when we roll it together, we take one end and we roll in, roll in, roll in. And do the same on the other end. Roll in, roll in, roll in. And keep going. And it's not as long as ours. A real Torah, I mean. Do you remember from last year when we unrolled the entire one, not for Shavuot, but for Simchat Torah. You remember we unrolled it and we unrolled it right throughout the shul, and it was huge. So this is not going to be as big, but look at that. That's with my more authentic looking paper. Now, is that done? Does that look beautiful? Not done yet. It's no more done, whoops, than my cinnamon and cloves one that just lost one of it. I will make sure next time to pick it up this way. But we can do some decorations now. So, what else does a Torah have to keep it looking beautiful? Well, it has a special cover. I've got some old material here that you could cut a strip of material if you've got any spare material, or you could just use some nice white paper and probably cut it not too long. And think about what we see on the Torah. We see usually a Magen David. So I thought if you had some old foil, you could take some foil and carefully rip it up. You know how I like to use foil as decorations for things at zehoo, because it's quite fun. And you just fold it over. And I reckon if you're clever and careful, you can make a Magen David. I also have an idea when we can all be together. See that? I made a strip and I just folded it over at a funny angle. That's part of a triangle. And I'm going to do the same thing again. When we're all together, I have an idea from a photo I saw somewhere else of a way that we can make ourselves into a Magen David that'll look so cool, but it'll have to wait until we can be a bit closer to each other. So at the moment, not going to happen. So again, make a strip. Yeah, I folded it over, folding it over. It's sort of a triangle shape. There we go. And then I've got my two sort of triangle shapes. Obviously, I'm going to need to connect them as well. You can also fold up little strips to go at the bottom of the triangles. I've done a couple of those, and I'm going to glue them on. I don't know how well they're going to stick. If it's going to be well enough for me to actually put them on the Torah, I'm going to actually put the glue onto the foil. Oh, she says hopefully. Put the glue onto the foil. There we go. Rather than on the material. Put some on, and I'm going to place it on my material right in the middle. And I'm going to pick up my little bottom of the triangle. A little bit of glue along there. Oh, I should have found the fuller bottle. I don't know where that is. Let's see. Now, if you would like to, you don't have to leave your actual Torah scroll blank. I don't know if you remember, but previously, what we have done, there you go, that's half on, is we have drawn our depictions of the days of creation. And if you remember from Rosh Hashanah last year, we had some really cool work that we'd done on our making animals and depictions of the sun and the stars and the moon and the water and all of that we put up on the wall. Here we go. And you might want to do the same sort of thing before you roll your Torah scroll up. You can do beautiful decorations in there if you'd like. I think it would be really nice. You could do for each of the days or one of the stories. It doesn't have to be obviously the whole Torah, because that would take you way too long and you don't have enough paper for that. Now let's see. There we go. So you could do that. Now, should I put that around my clove and cinnamon? I think I'll put it around my paper one. Let's see. So I'll roll it up. Yeah. And I will put this upside down. Whoops. I think I can see that I've had a bit of a problem here with my sticky tape. I see what the problem is. Make sure you don't just tape the paper to the paper. You need to also tape the paper to the stick, which I forgot to do. There we go. Let's roll that back up. We don't make mistakes. We don't learn anything, right, guys? So we're going to roll this right back up. I'm going to put it in the middle here. I'm going to carefully wrap it up. So you might find that your material is a bit too long like mine is. Doesn't really matter. And I'm going to grab some string as well to tie around it so that it stays done up like a belt almost. Whoops, It's falling apart terribly. Well, you know what? That's what happens when we don't wait for the glue to dry. So that's my mistake. So I'll let that dry over there. If you don't have foil, if you have got some wrapping paper sort of stuff, ribbon, you could make a magenta vid out of that. If you don't have even that, if you have a nice fancy text, it doesn't have to be silver like mine, you can just put things on the paper. So let's see if I do a beautiful magenta vid, one triangle, yep, and another magenta vid right over, another triangle, and I could color that in. I'm sure you would do a much better job because you would take a lot longer to do it than I'm doing. Yeah? And hopefully your texture wouldn't run out. Right there. You see that okay? So if I take my poor Torah out of that needs to keep drying, I can make this. And if you're doing it out of paper, you could make it so it just slips on. Yeah? You can make it so it just slips on. So sticky tape the paper to itself. And you could just slide it on. And if you wanted to decorate the tops, you could use your texture if you had one, or you could use some foil. You can make a little crown. You could decorate the tops of your clothes with a little bit of foil, make a little crown for them because they're already in a bit of a crown shape, which is one of the reasons I like clothes so much. I think they're so regal looking. You could give them a bit of a top, however you wanted to do it. You can make your own Torah scroll. Now, for those of you who feel like it, I'm going to read you our latest book from PJ Library. Maybe you've had this one too, maybe not, called Onions and Garlic. Now, I haven't read it yet. Miney has. She says it's very good. So, let's see. Onions and Garlic, retold by Rebecca Shear and illustrated by Sabina Hahn. Thank you, PJ Library. In Yiddish, Haskel means wisdom, and that was the name of a young merchant who lived in a faraway village. Haskel's father, Anshel, was also a merchant. So were Haskel's older brother and sister, Herschel and Yentl. Herschel's the brother, Yentl's the sister. They all bought and sold the silkiest of silks and the woolliest of wools, the finest of all fine things. But even though Haskel means wisdom, his siblings called him Haskel the Fool. Haskel the Fool. Haskel the Fool. It's not that Haskel wasn't smart. He was. But he was also generous and trusting, especially in the marketplace. Haskel, how did you go at the market today? I sold everything in my cart. Yeah, but did you make a profit? What's a profit? That means, do you have money at the end of it, or did you get exactly what the goods cost you? Everyone said they'd love to buy the whole kit and caboodle, but they'd either just spent their last dime or they'd been robbed, so I gave them all a discount. Uh-oh. I mean, it was at least, there he goes again, Haskel the Fool. Please, don't call me that. Haskel the Fool, Haskel the Fool. Stop! Father, make them stop! I'm sorry, but your brother and sister have a point. That seems harsh. You're just not a natural salesman. You fall too easily for people's tricks. From now on, you'll stay here at home and keep track of the family's sales. Oh, how does Haskel feel? Oh, slumped over. Meanwhile, Herschel and Yentl, you are free to wander the world. I'd like to see how well you do buying and selling your goods in exotic lands. Exotic lands? Awesome! Let's go and pack our things. Woohoo! Have you ever felt left out of things like this? It's not fair. They're going to have such wonderful adventures while I'll be stuck at home. What can I do? If I send you out there with them, you'll only be cheated. All right then, send me out with something of little value. If I get cheated, what have you got to lose? But if I come home with a profit, right, meaning more than I went out with, think how much you have to gain. Very well, my son, you have yourself a deal. Wait right here. Anshel ran out to the shed behind the house. When he came back, he was dragging an enormous burlap sack. Look at the size of that sack. There's a merchant ship leaving first thing tomorrow morning. Your job is to sell these. Anshel yanked open the sack. Haskell peered inside. What's he going to find? Onions! Look at all those onions. Do you like onions? I love onions. That's right. They're the cheapest thing I could find. Now it's up to you to sell them. The next day, Haskell boarded a merchant ship with his sack of onions in tow. But even though he tried his best to sell his onions at every port, onions! Get your onions here! Cutting them will make you cry, but eating them will make you smile. Nobody wanted to buy them. Onions? We grow them in our backyard. How common! We feed them to our cows and rabbits. Why would we buy them from you? We have plenty of our own. Everyone said no. Before long, Haskell had to start eating his onions just to keep from starving. Inside the ship's kitchen, he'd scrape together whatever meal he could and throw in some onions to add more flavor. Soon he'd found dozens of ways to use onions, like grilling them, frying them, there's a lot of flames, boiling them, and roasting them. Even if his meals were meager, meaning there's not much to them, the onions gave them a big, bold taste. Haskell had been at sea for many months when suddenly a vicious storm blew in from the north and capsized the ship. Capsized? Splash! Everyone on board was flung into the icy blue waters. Haskell clung to his sack of onions as the wind blew and night fell. There he is, in the waves, scary and cold. The next morning, Haskell found himself washed up on a beach. As he staggered to his feet, he felt something sharp and pointy beneath his soggy shoes. What's it going to be? Ouch! A diamond! Wow! But not just one diamond, millions of diamonds. In fact, the entire beach was covered with sparkling diamonds. Some were as tiny as a pea. Actually, a diamond the size of a pea. I've never seen one. That would be huge. Others were giant as a pumpkin, and they were all shimmering and glinting in the sun. Well, what do you know? I'll take one of these diamonds and see if I can trade it for a meal. A nice hot bowl of soup would hit the spot right about now. Bowl of soup. Ouch! Ow! Oh! Ee! They're so sharp. Tell me, if you went to a beach covered in diamonds, would you take just one or would you take a whole handful? I wonder what you would do. Before long, Haskell reached a city. He stepped inside the first restaurant he saw. Hello there. I would like to order a nice hot bowl of soup, please. The owner of the restaurant eyed Haskell suspiciously. After all, his hair was full of seaweed and his torn clothing, smelled of fish. And how are you going to pay for it, may I ask? You look like you haven't a penny to your name. Oh, I have something much better than a penny. I have this. Ha ha ha! A diamond, huh? You do realize diamonds aren't worth anything around here. Why wouldn't they be worth anything? Well, if anyone could go down to the beach and just gather a whole handful, they don't become valuable. It'd be like paying with sand here. Oh, okay, I guess I'll go then. Listen, you look like you've come upon hard times. Have a seat, and I'll bring you a bowl of soup. That's nice of her. Here she comes. Look at the steam. Oh, I can just about smell that soup, can't you? Chicken soup with carrots and parsley. But something is missing. Onions! Haskell called the restaurant owner over to the table. Your soup is very fine indeed, but don't you think it would taste even better with onions? Are you kidding? Oh, sorry, onions? What, may I ask, are onions? Are you kidding? Don't you grow onions in your kingdom? Why, no, I've never even heard of onions, let alone fed them to anybody. Don't you feed them to your cows and rabbits? No, okay. Onions? What, may I ask, are onions? Are you kidding? Don't you grow onions in your kingdom? Don't you feed them to your cows and rabbits and add them to your soups and salads? Why, no. I've never even heard of onions, let alone fed them to anybody. Haskell couldn't believe his luck. It just so happens I have onions with me. Here, taste one. Well, raw, I'm not sure how she's going to feel. The restaurant owner popped a sliver of onion into her mouth. I've never tasted anything like this. It's so pungent, so spicy. Tell me, what can you do with these onions? Just about anything, like grilling them, frying them, boiling them, and roasting them. They're a very versatile vegetable, and they add such flavor. Versatile, you can do anything with them. The queen would love these onions of yours. She adores food and is always complaining that it isn't flavorful enough. You must go to the royal palace and show her this amazing vegetable. So Haskell went to the royal palace and stood before the queen. He told her all about onions and the many ways to cook them. I must try these mysterious onions for myself. Go now to the royal kitchen and show my chefs how to cook with onions. Tonight we'll have an onion feast. So Haskell went to the kitchen and spent hours showing the royal chefs the many ways they could prepare onions, like grilling them, frying them, boiling them, and roasting them. That evening they served dish after dish to the queen. Superb, scrumptious, Tell me, young man, how many onions do you have in your sack? Well, we used quite a few to cook tonight's meal, but I still have a good number left, and onions are very easy to grow. I can show you how to plant them. Then you can have as many as you'd like. I will take all the onions in your sack, every last one. What would you like in exchange? I don't need much, just enough to get back home. And a few diamonds? A few? I will give you 100 sacks of diamonds and a ship to carry you home. Wow, she must have really liked those onions. Do we have a deal? We do, your majesty, thank you. And they shook hands. I am so happy. Finally, I've made a good trade, a great trade. Now nobody will call me Haskell the Fool again. I'm just wondering, with this many pages left, I think he might be called it again. What do you think? Haskell returned home with his treasures, just as Herschel and Yentl were coming back from their adventures. When they saw his treasures, they couldn't believe their eyes. When Haskell told them how he'd gotten the diamonds, they couldn't believe their ears. Look at it shining there. And when Haskell cooked them a delicious dinner that night with, using, yes, onions, they couldn't believe their taste buds. Little brother, this meal is delicious, but is it true? Did you really find a kingdom where onions are worth more than diamonds? It's true, I did. Haskell, you're a fancy cook now. Tell us, what's another vegetable that spices up a dish? Well, there's garlic. Garlic, of course. We're going to bring a ship full of garlic to your kingdom, Haskell the Fool, and we'll bring back even more diamonds from your queen. The next day, Herschel and Yentl went to the marketplace and bought all the garlic they could find. They loaded it onto the ship and set sail for the kingdom Haskell had just visited. Look at how big those sacks of garlic are. As they approached the palace, they passed fields and fields of a very particular crop. Onions! Onions! Herschel and Yentl entered the palace and stood before the queen. Your Majesty, we are merchants from a faraway land. We have heard you're quite fond of flavor. Quite fond? I'm quite fond of a new dress, but flavor, I adore flavor. I'm crazy about it. The more flavor, the better. Your Majesty, we've brought something that will make your food positively burst with flavor. Really? Tell me more. There's no need to tell you, Your Highness. We'll just show you. We've brought with us a delicious bounty of garlic. Garlic? Whatever in the world is garlic? Go now to the royal kitchen and show my chefs how to cook with it. Tonight we'll have a magnificent garlic feast. Herschel and Yentl spent hours showing the royal chefs the many ways they could add garlic to soups, stews, and sauces. That evening they served dish after dish to the queen. Brilliant! Delicious! Nom 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 nom! You two were right. I love garlic. How much do you have left? An entire shipful. Oh, goody, I'll take it all. And what would you like in exchange? This was the question Herschel and Yentl had been waiting for. We would like 200 sacks of diamonds, Your Majesty. Yes, 200 sacks of diamonds should be just enough. Bit greedy. Diamonds? They're so common, and garlic is such a special delicacy. In exchange for your garlic, I will give you the most precious treasure in my entire kingdom. Tomorrow morning, my guards will load it onto your ship and stash it safely down below in the hold. Tonight, you are my honored guests. Can you believe it? The Queen's loading our ship with something even more precious than diamonds. Let's wait till we get home to open it up. We don't want to spoil the surprise. Do you have any ideas as to what that surprise might be? The next day, Herschel and Yentl boarded their ship and sailed back home. Haskell and Anshel were at the port to meet them. Welcome back, my children. Did you find the kingdom where they're crazy about onions? We did. And was the Queen pleased to learn about your garlic? She was. In fact, she loved it. And did the Queen trade your garlic for diamonds? Actually, she didn't. She traded it for something even better. But, dear brother and sister, what could possibly be better than diamonds? Only the most precious treasure in the kingdom, and we've waited this entire voyage to find out what it is. Herschel, Yentl, Anshel, and Haskell all climbed down into the hold of the ship. There they found a giant wooden box sealed tightly with big iron nails. As Herschel and Yentl struggled to pry open the lid, they fantasized about what might be inside. I bet it's rubies. I bet it's emeralds. What if it's silver? Ooh, what if it's gold? Just then, the lid came flying off, and a familiar smell filled the room, because the Queen had indeed given Herschel and Yentl the most precious treasure in all the kingdom. And it wasn't rubies, and it wasn't emeralds. It wasn't silver, and it wasn't gold. No, it was something you can cook and grill and fry and boil and roast. Something very versatile that adds such flavor. Can you guess what it was? That's right, onions. I don't know about you, but I think that served Herschel and Yentl right. Okay, guys, I would love to see if you want to show me how you maybe make and decorate a Torah scroll. And until next time, see you guys. Bye.